wanted to respond to this commenter who asked, what's stopping successful Black women from having a surrogate, saving their eggs, or adopting? Hi, my name is Dr. Natalie Jones. I'm a licensed therapist. And I wanted to respond to this. This is based off of my my post where I talked about how, successful Black women, they are in survival mode and they really have to grind it out to reach a level of success, so much so that they often, there's little time left for accomplishing their dreams in other areas. So there's nothing technically stopping successful Black women from having a surrogate or saving their eggs or adopting. So I'll start with adoption. We'll start with adoption, which is at the end here. I'll just speak with you all candidly here. Black people are not adopting as much, and this has been an issue. I won't say that they don't adopt, because some do, but Black people just in general do not adopt children at a rate that's comparable. It's, and a lot of Black women view that as not being the same. They want the experience of carrying the child that they have with whatever partner that they decide to procreate with. But just in general, Black people do not adopt at a high rate. As it stands, as from what I remember from my time and working with kids, in terms of fostering and things like that, white folks were more likely to adopt children, even from other races. There are some people, while there are some women who do adopt, that is not, Black women who do adopt, that is not the norm, unfortunately. But also women, in my experience in counseling Black women, because this discussion has come up, they want the experience of carrying their own child. And saving eggs was something, when I first got into counseling, it wasn't something that everyone had access to, and a lot of women still don't have access to it. However, a lot more companies are including that in terms of their insurance benefits and what they will cover. So you have that a lot more in terms of coverage for insurance and what we'll pay for, because traditionally, back when I first started counseling, this was not something that was widely covered under insurance. It's still not something that's widely covered to 100%. There's not 100% reimbursement across the board from organizations and things like that. So only certain levels of certain organizations have that, where they will reimburse or will help cover that. That is an expense. And then it's not just the expense of having the eggs extracted, because a lot of times you have to do that multiple times until you get enough eggs. But also there's storage fees and all of that other kind of stuff that takes place. The medication to stimulate the egg, your egg follicles and things like that. So there's a lot that's involved in that. And it's become a lot easier in today's climate. So more and more women are doing it, but I would still say due to access and what all is involved, that's still not 100%. I would say more women are getting on board with this, though, than the other two that you suggested. And going into a surrogate, again, that's, taking away from the experience of carrying your own child, not to mention, and I've had people that I know that are doing this. A surrogate is very, very expensive. Not only you have to pay their medical bills, plus you have to pay, their fee for actually carrying the child, and then you have to pay the agency. And I will also say, just based off of some of the experiences that I've known with people who have personally done this, all organizations that organize surrogacy aren't on the up and up. which means that, maybe their surrogate isn't physically healthy, but people don't find out about it, or they're not able to carry, but people don't find out about it until they've spent, thousands of dollars on a surrogate, getting all these things, and then, you know, uh, trying to do transplantation and things like that. There's just a whole lot of there's just a whole lot of things that go on with surrogacy behind the scenes that I don't think is talked about well enough with the general public. Other other aspects of it, I don't know, and I don't want to speak out of turn, but I don't know if it's well regulated. As like, the medical industry, there's things like that, but surrogate agencies and things like that, that usually goes through an agency, and they usually want their money up front. So there's a lot of money that goes up front, and it's not a sure thing. So you essentially need to be you really need to have a lot of money for surrogacy. And while you can be doing well and be successful, that's like paying another salary and then some for surrogacy, and then all the legalities and things that go along with it. And that kind of stuff really adds up. And again, the other aspect of surrogacy, and I think on the Real Housewives of Atlanta, they talked about that as well, was like a lot of Black women in doing this work as well. A lot of Black women talk about the perceived judgment, or perceived internalized failure from not being able to carry their own child. And to do that is like a gift for the person that they're with, and a gift for themselves. They want that experience, but also they don't want to be judged for it. And so a lot of that goes into these sort of perfectionist ideals. So I hope that helps to explain it a little bit better. And you guys feel free to drop things down in the comments. One other thing that I will say about surrogacy, I really feel like I really love what Ebony Wilson did, and I feel like she's pioneering the way, because there are a lot of women out there, also too, with surrogacy and adoption, that don't want to be single mothers. They don't want to do that. I would say that that probably is one of the top reasons, that I've heard, that women want a village, they want a family, and be that as it may, being a single mother does not fit their idea of being a family. And I'm not making any judgments here. I'm just talking about like what a lot of women say, that like, no, me being a parent I don't want that. That's not my idea of a family. My idea of a family is having a partner, and then having children, and then having our extended families be together. Like, I want that community, but I also want that partnership. I don't want that. That is not what I look like. And that's not what I want things to look like for me. So that's also another aspect of it as well. So I'm just going to put that there. And I hope that this helps you guys. And I love the conversation that we're having. Thanks so much.